Remember a couple of years ago how everybody was talking about that a market crash was coming? Everybody's like, oh my God, what if it happens? What if it doesn't? Now everybody's talking about it's going to be soft landing. There's not going to be any recession. And there's one thing that people forgot about, the saying, only the paranoid survive. This is coming soon. That starts this month. A month before election, there should be a recession in America. So people are now, it's totally fine. Look at the market. It's near all-time highs. But is it really? If you were to pull out the top 7 stocks, when you see the numbers on this, it's staggering. And on top of that, there is an indicator of when a recession actually hits. And it isn't while we're raising interest rates, the Fed. It happens after we stop raising rates. And wait till you see how long it takes for the market to crash. And by the way, I got a bunch of other data to share with you, but I've learned one thing for sure. Having been in the financial industry since the day before 9/11, only the paranoid survive, and those who are way too confident are typically wrong, and those who are way too cocky are also typically wrong. So here's U.S. interest rate hikes in the history of America. When we raise rates, we have never raised 4.88 percentage points as quickly as we did in the States. Nothing comes close to the 22 to 23 of 4.88. But what does this really mean? So if we look at the balance sheet of, this is pretty much the quantitative easing balance sheet, that shows how much bonds the Fed is buying. The M2 money supply shows how much money is circulating in the economy. So you notice, look how historically it's gradually climbing, but it's nothing that's sudden. Then all of a sudden, boom, we feed the economy, the market, with trillions of dollars we're not accustomed to. And we don't have another case study for somebody to say, well, here's what's going to happen. Well, it's totally okay. Well, don't worry about it. Based on what? Based on what case study can you speak so confidently saying nothing's going to happen? Everybody is almost protecting whatever business they're part of, investment they have. They're trying to sell why they're right and maybe don't worry about it, or do worry about it. But the reality of it is nobody knows 100% what's going on because we've never been here before. So let's continue. So then 2024 projections, what's next for the U.S. economy? They did a survey to find out who thinks a recession is coming. The Fed staff says 0% there's not going to be a recession. I remember they're in the business, so they're supposed to be saying that because that is Wall Street, right? Yield curve says 61% chance a recession is coming next 12 months. Economists are at 48%. Consumers are at 69%. That's Main Street, you and I. Goldman Sachs is saying only 15%. Bank of America, 35 to 40%. But look at CEO, 84%. Okay? C-suites are saying 84%. Now, what would CEOs know that the rest of them don't know? Maybe they know their debt payment. Maybe they know when their debt payment interest rates that they got was lower, that if they have to renew the debt that they got, it's going to go up here. How the hell are we going to make those payments? Maybe we ought to look at what some of these CEOs are talking about. You'll notice the percentage of S&P 500 companies citing keywords on earning calls. What words they're using fewer times. Inflation has decreased. Material costs decreased. Economical slowdown decreased. Job cuts went up, but it's also decreased. So could this be a sign that everything's going to be okay? If yes, why are CEOs at 84% saying a recession is coming? Are they Houdini? Are they Nostradamus? Are they somebody that can predict the future? What do they know that the rest of the people don't know? Now, when it comes on to S&P 500, these are the 500 biggest companies in America. Something very interesting is happening. There are 7 companies that make up 28% of the S&P 500. Let me break this down for you. 500 biggest companies, 7 companies make up 28%. In the history of S&P 500, never has there been a time where 7 companies make up 28%. We've never had 7 companies. You know, too big to fail? What are these companies? You got Meta, Facebook, Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, and Tesla. So why is this important? Here's why. If you look at the S&P 500 year-to-date returns, you will notice a number roughly around 12%. Could be higher, could be lower, but it's around 12%. You know what Magnificent Seven's return is for the year so far? Roughly 92%. So what happens if you take the 7 stocks out and there's only 493 stocks left? How's the S&P 500 doing? It's down. So the 7 are pulling the rest of the market, and it looks like everything else is okay, but is it really? So we decided to break it down to see how small cap companies were doing, mid cap companies were doing versus large cap companies. And you will notice a trend here. Watch this. If you look at this chart, you'll notice three different funds here. One is the SPY, which is the S&P 500. The other one is the Russell 2000. Then you have the micro cap ETF. So if you look at these, the S&P 500 is companies valued roughly at 12.7 billion or higher. Top 500 biggest companies in America. Russell 2000 is company size is $300 million to $2 billion market cap. And then the micro cap is from 50 million to 300 million. So if you look at this, what do you notice? You'll notice SPY is up 18.66%. The rich get richer, the big get bigger, the stronger get stronger.